Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the blockchain web. All right, this is Daltonic, and in today's tutorial, I want to show you how to do what the term gasless transaction. Okay, so this gasless transaction can be used in multiple use cases in blockchain because sometimes when you create some applications that require gas fee. All right, so and you want to devise a way such that people don't have to pay with blockchain, such as with their native Ethereum currency, rather they can pay with their fiat currency, such as with USD. So what could happen is that you can devise a means in your application that people can pay with their card and have a wallet balance of their their currency, so you can swap it each time they want to get their fiat currency. They can swap it, or you can perform that transaction for them and then charge them in their native currency. Or if you want to do something like a test use case for, let's say, a project that you're working on, and you want to do something that will not require the end user to be the one paying for the gas, and you want to be the one, or the corporation or whomever you're working for wants to be the one to pay for the gas fee, then you can use this method. Okay, so this is the method that I've seen so far that works, pretty good. Just get the job done. All right, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to just do exactly that. So if you're new to this channel and if you haven't subscribed, you got to just hit that like and subscribe button, okay? And that notification bell. You got to do that right now, okay? All right, so with that, let's jump into the tutorial. In case you haven't seen this, this is our website. This is where you get access to all our premium materials, books, courses, and have information about our upcoming DApp Mentors Academy that is coming soon on the platform, which you can join at a very, economical price. And this is our consultancy and partnership services. For development services or consultancy stuff, you can just click here, or you can book our consultancy service there. So with that, this is how you get booked. Like, we have some courses on Fullstack NFT minting course. We have Fullstack NFT marketplace courses. These are like two hottest courses on the platform right now. And then you have capturing smart contract development book, which you need to check out. So make sure you check out the website, because all the latest drop is going to be coming on this platform. Okay, so this is just a simple application that I've designed. Just going to show you how it works so that you can have understanding of what we're trying to achieve here. All right, you can see right now I don't have any account connected to this MetaMask wallet. All right, and I've already set up this thing in such a way that once I copy a wallet address that I want to send to, please take note of the specific amount of money that we have here, which is 0.1299. Okay, so I want to send a specific amount of Ether into this specific wallet address. All right, I could choose any other wallet address. Maybe I should create a new one from scratch. Let's create a new account, call it account 08. I'm going to copy this and use this wallet address. I want to, by the way, this transaction is going to be running on the Polygon Mumbai test network. All right, so I want to send something like 0.01, Matic to this wallet address that doesn't have anything gaslessly. So MetaMask is not going to be involved in this equation. So there is no MetaMask thing here. It's just, my front end and the backend API, which I will show you soon, working all this magic together under the hood. So I click on send, and then it is transferring. And let me open my console until once that is completed. And then you see, okay, you can see that it's saying successful. And then this is my information here. You can see this is the data. You can see these are the information that makes for this specific transaction. And I didn't even consulted MetaMask. If I check out this account now, you can see that this amount of money has just been received, okay, by this account. So this is a pretty cool thing, because you don't really need MetaMask. That is the cool stuff about this. And I'm not paying for gas fee. Like, you don't see me pay for any gas fee whenever I'm clicking on this. This is like what the terminology gasless transaction is all about. So, and this is like a URL which you can use in checking out where that transaction is online. So I'm going to copy this. All right. So yeah, so I'm going to visit that. You can see that this is a transaction, and you can see the wallet address it is coming from. So I'm using a central wallet address, to perform this transaction across any wallet that I want to send that money to. Okay, you can see information about this. I actually sent 0.01, but you can see it's 0.009 because gas fees are what involved in this particular transaction. So that is what it is about this this tutorial. So I'm going to teach you how to do this step by step. Now, so if you're ready, let's get into the tutorial. All right, so for this tutorial, I'm going to be using Gitpod Workspace. Why I use it is because it's faster in the sense that I don't have to, do some crazy installations on my local machine. I could just do all these things on the fly, and which is faster and easier for me than trying to install all those things on my local machine. All right, and I can easily delete it. This is all server and cloud computing, stuff. So now you can see this is like the two application that was running, the back end and the front end of it. This is the front end of it. So basically it's running on, Gitpod Workspace. Okay, so what is going to happen is that I'm going to create, I'm not going to end them, let them stay that way. I'm going to create another workspace. I'll call this, let's look for a demo. If you don't have an account, okay, you can always create an account with Gitpod, okay? For once you create an account, you create a new workspace, you select, your starter kit, or if you have access to this specific URL, which is this specific one, come to github.com/daltonic/empty. So it's just an empty repository. There is nothing inside of it. So I'm going to come here and say empty. All right. So this is the empty one. Or you yourself, you can actually paste in the URL here. Okay. Which is the same thing. And I'm just going to keep all these settings the same and click continue. All right. So that should launch a new workspace for me. And we're going to wait for it. So the workspace is starting up, and you have the option to choose to use the browser or VS Code. I've already set up my VS Code, so I want to use VS Code, which is going to be interfacing with the workspace online. All right, so at this point, I'm going to say yes, and at this point, I'm going to say this is just an empty project. There is nothing inside of it. I wanted to start from the absolute scratch so that you can see how I do this, step by step with no step missing. All right. So the first thing you need to do here is to come and say, I'm going to use yarn. So I'm going to say yarn init, okay, dash y. You can also use npm init dash y. It's basically the same thing, but yarn seems to be a lot cleaner for me. And then you click enter, and come on, you're not supposed to ask me for the project name, but whatever it is, let's just call this transfer. All right, you know what, this is not what I want, so let's do npm instead. Npm, yeah, that worked just fine for us. So npm just helped us to create all this information this way. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, want to install NodeMon. So I want to say, we can use yarn. Okay, well, let's use npm install -g NodeMon. All right, so that should install globally on the machine. So that is installed, and I want to create, this should be the main entry point is going to be app, which is something I will just create now. Right click and say app.js. Okay, so when this is going to be what we execute. So this will be node all right. So, and yeah, something like, let's come here and put that. This is where you put the script actually. So you want to say start here. For starting, you're going to say node app.js, and then on development, which I could just say dev, I'll say NodeMon. All right, so I'm going to be using this a lot. The next thing I want to do is to install quite some packages here. For example, I need to install, I'll say, should we use yarn now? Or let's just say NPM for sake of the global audience. So say NPM install, what are we installing? We're installing Axios, we're installing ETAS, we're installing CORS, okay, we're installing .env, all right, and Express, all right, for our Node.js server. So these are the items that we're going to be installing. So let's just install all of them at once, and you can see that those packages are what installed. Pretty fantastic. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is to come to this application, this app place. This is where we start writing all the bulk of work that we're going to be doing in this application. So I'm going to quickly just copy and paste quite a lot of things. But before we do that, before we write this, let's write a service that we're going to be using. This service is going to be called blockchain because it kind of helps us to perform all the necessary transactions. Okay. And please pay attention. This thing that we're about to do, let's create a new folder first, call it services. Okay, and inside here, let's create another file inside of it, call it blockchain.js. All right, so we're going to be having a blockchain service, and so there are some things that we're going to be needing. All right, within this, because pay attention to this very well. Let me create a new file, call it .env. Okay. And in this .env, I'm going to require two things. I'm going to require a private key, okay, of the account which will be serving as the intermediary, because even though this is like a gasless experience or a gasless transaction, is only a gasless transaction, for the end user, but it's not for the owner of the application, because the blockchain as of now doesn't have a mechanism where you can just perform any kind of transaction without requiring gas fee. Okay, so these are like two essential information that we're going to need to proceed with this application. The first thing is the RPC of the chain, the blockchain that you want to be performing all this transaction on. And for this tutorial, I want to use the Mumbai blockchain network. So I could easily grab that by coming to, once you just connect it already to your, you can watch my recent videos. I have ways that I've done all this Mumbai connection. All right. So, but if you don't have it, you can create a new network. Look at this setup here. Okay, this is how you set up a Mumbai network with all this information here. So I'm copying the RPC URL because that is what I only need. Okay, for this RPC, I'm going to paste it here. Okay, this is very important. I'm putting it here. Now this private key, the private key is very, very important, and you need to make sure that you secure your private key. To grab your private key, I'm going to select the account that I want to be performing transaction from. So this is the account that I want to be performing all my transactions from. These are just test eaters. So I'm going to come here and come to account details and export private key. So I'm going to enter this and enter my password and click end confirm. All right. So I'm going to pause this video and perform that, copy it and paste it on my my environment variable, the very spot like I showed you before, and then we'll continue this video. So I've pasted it in that private key spot and I've saved it. I'm not going to be revealing this anymore, so that for ethics reasons, not because there is some money inside of that. Okay, so with that done, that is quite important. So the next thing we want to further, the productivity of this blockchain service. So I'm going to bring in two essential packages that we're going to be using. Want to use this etas package and want to use this .env package, which will enable us to what? To grab the environment variables that we have just added into this application. The next thing I want to define these two functions. What does these two functions do? They convert, they will help me convert data or numbers from and to we. Okay, from we and then to what? We, all right? And you're going to see how it is. So this actually converts a regular number, to the Ethereum correspondent. Why this, transform an Ethereum value or Ethereum currency into a regular, digital currency, that is number, a regular number, right? So afterward, I want these two keys. What does this? Well, this is provider. I'm instantiating a new etas.provider.json provider, not Web3 provider. This is JSON provider, and I will just enter the what? This process.env. the RPC URL, which is basically the Mumbai URL. All right, and then the next thing I want to do is to create a wallet. How do I create it? Instantiating this new etas.serves.wallet and process. This is my private key, and then I pass in the provider as well. So the provider points to where this particular wallet address is located. All right. So once I do that, the next thing I want to do now is to define the function that will enable me to perform this transaction. So I'm going to call this function what? Transfer. All right, transfer amount. Okay, what does this transfer amount does? It's an asynchronous function, and it takes a receiver, okay, and a specific amount that you want to what? Transfer. I'm going to bump this a little bit up so that you can see it clearer. And then now I will say, this is it. I want to return a promise. So I want it to be promise based. So I'm going to say promise, and this promise is going to be asynchronous, of course. And this is what? Resolve, and this is reject. All right. At this point, you see const, you're defining a balance. Want to get the balance. So I'm just going to paste it right here. I'm going to explain for you. So, sorry, come back here. So I'm grabbing the balance. Okay, this is how you grab the balance of any wallet address on the Ethereum space. So I'm going to, can I just find like an extension that can help me here? Like Prettier. So I'm going to install Prettier. Okay, installed. Okay, so here we are back here. So let me, okay, that is more formatted. Now I'm grabbing the balance of this specific wallet address, because before I perform any transaction, I need to know if this specific address that is responsible for, for subsidizing gas fees for people, for making sure that people don't have to pay gas fee, then that wallet address has to always have enough Ether to perform any transaction. Otherwise, no transaction is allowed to take place. All right, with that done, the next thing we want to do is, okay, we grab the balance, which is by saying await provider get balance to pass in the wallet.address. After that, this balance, we're saying that if this balance is less than LT, this is to we, I convert that amount which I'm passing here and converting it to the Ethereum equivalent to we. So if it is less than this value, if my balance is less than the amount that anybody is trying to send, okay, or if somebody is trying to perform a minting operation, okay, we're checking if the amount is what? Up to the balance, okay, or the balance is up to the amount, all right? And if it is up to the amount, it performs. Otherwise, it's to return a rejected, promise response by saying insufficient balance to transfer, and then what? That status 400, all right? But if that was successful, we're going to create a transaction object, all right? I'm going to create a transaction object. What is this transaction object made of? This is a transaction, this is an object. I'll put in a key called receiver, which is this one that is being passed in here. The gas price, okay, the gas price, I'll have to what? Grab the current gas price in the blockchain, and then this is the gas limit. The value, basically, I am converting this to what? To we. So I could replace this with what? Say to we. All right. So this is the amount that is being transferred. All right. So now this is what the transaction object is made of. Next thing I want to do is basically a try catch. All right. So what is this try catch all about? If there is any error, I want to just reject outrightly. I'll reject it by saying, okay, this error, I destructure this error object here and then add, I'll spread this error object and then add this 400 statement here, so that status to help make the whole experience readable. Next thing I want to do is I want a function that will help me to calculate the current gas price in the market. Okay, so I'm going to write that function below here. Here. All right, so this function is called calculate total cost. All right, so it's going to receive a provider. Okay, and then what? A transaction. A provider and it what? Transaction. So, and then that is how it obtains the gas, limit. So we'll say provider.estimate gas, and then you pass in the transaction, and then it's going to return you the gas limit, and then you have to return the gas limit. Otherwise, just say something like error estimating gas limit, and then you spit it out. Okay, now in this place here, this is our try block. This is where we perform all those operations. So first of all, before we perform anything, we're going to say, okay, we are starting the transfer at this point, and then we're getting the estimated cost by what? Calling this function, passing the provider and the transaction object, which is this, and then it gets us the what? The estimated cost of what? For this transfer that is about to happen. All right, so after that, we want to also redefine another transaction object. Why we're doing this? Because we're not going to send the entire amount of money that this person wants to perform. We want to deduct. What we're doing, we are deducting what is it called? We're deducting the gas, the cost, that is the gas fee from what? The amount. So we're passing the same receiver, the gas price is the same, everything remains the same, but this value has to be altered a little bit. How is it going to be altered? So we're coming here, we want to convert this to we. All right, so we want to convert this to we. We can basically do something, like this. We can say, to we. All right. So in this to we, we're passing in another stuff, and we're converting the estimated cost from we to what? A real number. We're subtracting that from what? This specific amount, and then that gives us, a certain number. So we'll convert that calculation to what? String again, and then convert it to what? To we. So basically that is the entire thing that's going on there. All right, after we do that, the next thing we want to do is to basically perform the transaction. All right, so now the transaction is okay, so we can perform the transaction. What is the transaction about? So we say a signed transaction will await this wallet does send transaction. We pass in the transaction object, and then we're calling this thing called await, signed transaction dot wait. This makes sure that we wait until this transaction has been fulfilled or confirmed or added to the block before it can be released, before this will be released. Otherwise, we'll keep waiting. All right. After that, we say transaction has been completed. And then the last thing we just want to do is to actually resolve this promise. And how do we resolve it? We're resolving it, by just returning some vital information. First of all, I'm going to what? Spread that signed transaction that has a whole lot of information in, a whole lot of information that we need, okay? And then the next thing we need also to add a status, something like transaction succeeded, this is the gas price, this is the gas limit, this is what the total gas cost, this is the amount of money that was actually transferred, okay? And this is where they can have access to information concerning this transaction. They can see it on the Polygon Explorer. All right, but we haven't added this chain ID. Okay, so I'm going to do something like this. Come here, say chain ID. Okay, const. And how do you get this chain ID? Let's say Polygon. So this is a place that we can get this chain ID. So I'm going to this is the chain explorer. So basically, this is what we want to do here, like this. Okay, so we want to append this, but what is going to happen is that I'm going to pause this video a moment and add this chain scan in that process.environment so that it can be part of this equation, what we're doing here. So let me do that. So now I've added it to my .environment variable, so I wouldn't need it here anymore. So I'm just going to remove that. And you can see that I'm actually utilizing it from this very place, and I'm merging it with the transaction hash. All right. So with that, all we need next is to just export these that function so that we can use it in our main application. So in this place here, I'm going to bring this here and up, and with that we kind of done with the script that helps us to actually perform the transaction. Great. So next thing we want to do is to come here in this app here. This is where we'll do the rest of our manipulations. To proceed in this, I'm going to paste this. I'm grabbing cores to make sure that we don't have some weird core violations, okay? So we're making it available. We're grabbing express, and then we're grabbing that function from this blockchain here. Okay, this transfer amount, we exported it here, remember? So now we're importing it from here, okay? After the export or the import, I want to actually initiate the application. So I'm initiating the Express application. I'm using cores, I'm using Express JSON to make sure that my response are going to be on JSON. This is not so useful, but it's just a static, declaring a static folder, what is going to be represented in the browser when, let's say we have those sort of images and JavaScript static objects. All right, this is URL encoded. This is for form submission and all of those sort of things. All right, so now that we have this, I'm just going to grab basically this route, this endpoint. This endpoint basically is to tell me, okay, welcome to transactions, so let's say something like this. And I want to test that all of these things are working before I proceed to the last step here, which is to come to this extension here. I'm going to look for an extension called Thunder, okay, which is an API client. It's called Thunder Client. I'm going to install it. You can get it from the marketplace. And once you install it, I will come here and click on this Thunder Client. I'm going to create a new request. All right. So in creating a new request, what do you need to do? Let's open this terminal. Since I'm using Gitpod, I have access to my application is not yet running. So I have to start up my application. How do I start up my application? Of course, I must say issue listing at a certain port. All right. So now it's not listening to anything. So I'm started up by saying app.listing. I want it to listen on port 9000, and this is what it should just log out on the console. So I'm going to save that and run this, run this. How do we run this again? Nope. Run this. npm, let's just say npm dev. All right. We can use npm dev. Why I'm trying to run this, because this we kind of set up something. Wow, what? Okay, that's not it. Okay, here we set up a dev key. So how do you do it? You say npm run dev. That should work. So there's a problem, there's an error right here, and that error is basically coming from this chain here. So I'm going to come here and just comment out this for now. All right, so now that is commented out for now. So I will come to new request and make sure you click on this expose port. So this is the URL where we can grab it. So let's copy it and place this thing here. Okay, so this is where the resources is, and let's click on send. It's saying unauthorized. All right, so you need to make this public. All right, currently it is private. So once I make it public and then run that again, you can see that message there. Message to welcome to transactions. Fantastic. All right, now let's perform the rest of, let's debug why this is misbehaving. So I'm going to say save that, and if it gives me an error, it says cannot read property of undefined JSON RPC provider. All right, so let's look at that place. Okay, I know where this error is coming from. So this error coming from the fact that JS may have just changed how this is this JSON RPC provider, where it is coming from. I don't know where they've replaced it with, but let me click on this. I don't know where it's, but the version that I used before, which is version 5.6.9, has it all together. So I'm going to change this to what? Version 5.6.9. I'm going to save that here. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to run npm install to make sure that I have that specific version of what JS, because that version kind of works for me. All right. So with that version installed, let's try and run this app again. Say run dev, and it's crashing again. It's saying serve is not defined. So I'm making a mistake here. There is this. Let me remove this. It's etas, not serve. All right. So I'm gonna end this and run this again. All right. You can see right now it is fully functional. That is great. So this app is fully functional. Let's check out this and ensure that this script is working out great. So how do we check that? So we come here. We're going to write a different route. So let's get it done. All right, step by step. Remember. Okay, so this is going to be called what's the name of this route? We're going to call this route we're going to call it transfer. All right, and it's a post request that can reach this one. I'm going to say this try catch. So we want to try some things and also catch some other things. All right, so in trying and in catching, what are we expecting to receive? We want to be able to receive two information, all right, from the request, which is what? The receiver and the amount of money that we are trying to receive. And I want to make sure, as a fail-safe mechanism, make sure that is the right kind of data that is being supplied to us before we proceed with, other matters. All right. So if there is nothing in the amount, or the receiver is not up to, is less than 42, then it should say what? Receiver or amount is empty. All right. So now After those criteria has been checked successfully, the next thing we want to do is to what? Return. This is going to be our waitable, returning the result of a specific function called transfer amount. All right. That transfer amount is coming from this what? Blockchain service. Okay. So this transfer amount, what are we passing? Passing the receiver, and we are also passing the amount of money. And you want to say dot, then this result now that is coming as a result of this operation that we just performed, we want it to be what? Response dot status. We want to give it 200 and then chain it with a JSON, and this JSON is going to be what? That result basically. All right, so this is what? So basically this is, man, I think I'm actually doing this in the wrong place. I'm going to cut out all this. All right, I'm going to cut it all out and bring it here. This is where I'm supposed to be doing it. Okay, so now, okay, so at this point, we kind of are true, but if there is any error, we just want to what? Report it as what? Good citizen. So I'm going to what? Make sure that I grab this line without having to repeat myself and paste it here. So you now have this function that helps us to perform the transfer of funds. Okay, so now let's use this particular Thunder client to test out the validity of this endpoint. So let's say transfer is the name of the endpoint. Okay, and it's going to be post this time. It doesn't have anything on the header. We're using this regular JSON structure. I'm going to have a receiver here. Okay, and we're also going to have an amount of money. Let's try 100 for now. And let's look for which account we want to send to. So let's copy this. Let's decide to send to which account. So let's send to this account. Is pretty clean. So let's send to this specific account. So I'm pasting this wallet address. So this is a wallet address that is going to what? Receive this 100 Ether if it goes successfully. So let's perform transaction. You say what? Insufficient balance. And where is this insufficient balance coming from? It is coming from this specific check here. So fantastic, that worked for us. Now the next thing after that is insufficient balance. The next thing I want to do is to actually send a smaller amount. Let's say I want to send 0.01. Okay, 0.01 Matic. So let's perform that transaction and see how this whole thing goes. Okay, you can see how all the operations are being calibrated here. This is when it started, and this is when it got completed. You can see information about this transaction, including where I can see it on the web if I want to. So I'm just gonna, if I check it here now, so I'm gonna copy that. Let's see that on the web. Okay, let's check it out. You can see this is the transaction on the web. You can see that it's already been confirmed by 13 blocks. And when did this happen? Let's see more. Okay, so logs, it kind of didn't show us time. Okay, 36 seconds ago. See how fast it is. All right, so that has just been completed. It's pretty cool that that Polygon, Matic, Polygon blockchain runs really fast and we didn't have to waste much time. So that was the total amount that was, we sent 0.01, but you can see that this is the amount that was sent and the other one was deducted from it because of gas fee and all that. So this is working now. The next thing we want to do now is to basically incorporate this on a front end so that you can see how you can interact with it. It is very simple. You don't need to install too many things. So I'm going to come here. Okay, let me come back to this place. So let's come back to this Git port here. I'm going to come to the workspace and I will create a new workspace, okay, from scratch so that you can see how this. Now I have about three workspaces running simultaneously. I'm going to end all of them once I'm done. So I'm going to create a new repository. I will use, Tailwind starter kit that I do have on my repository. It's public and you can actually use it as well. So I'm going to click on this and click on what? Continue. All right, so that this will open a new workspace for me. All right, so and it will start up basically everything that I need. Okay, so it's preparing and it's up and running again. See how fast these things are. I don't have to run, yarn install, all those kind of lengthy procedures. So I'm just going to wait for this to just get, my SSH, hosting, credentials validated. And once it is validated, then we are good to go. So I'm going to say yes. And of course, it is installing this already. Okay, our application is up and running now. I'll try to open it on the web in this port. You can see how it is right now. So this is our application running on this port. Then we gotta just revamp it because this is how we want to get it to be, okay? So, but it's not currently like that. So to get it all together, I will just copy and paste a bunch of things, okay? And most of the things I'm going to copy and paste are just some dummy things, okay? So I will come here, come to the app.js, okay? And in this place, we're going to paste in this some variables. Let's make sure we import this use state, so we can import it locally. So say import, we're going to grab it from React, of course. So what are we grabbing? The use state. Okay, so we're grabbing use state. And for defining all of this, this is going to be used to holding the receiver, holding the amount, and holding the state that we're using in indicating if we're actually performing a transaction or not. So afterward, the next thing we want to do is to basically copy the entire form, okay? The entire form that will enable us to perform this transaction. So this is how the form currently looks. Now let me give it a new look. Okay, so now let's cancel this. So now you have a form here. This is just a Tailwind basic form, and this is the form. I'm going to remove this handle submit for now because I don't have that function. So it has an input. One of the input is for what? Receiver. Another input is for the amount, and then I have two buttons that either shows send or transfer. Based on this, the send submit the button. This transfer indicates that the process is ongoing. Okay, so when I save this and come to this place, and let's just refresh it ourselves. Okay, you can see that this is how it looks. Fantastic, but nothing happens now. If we try to submit that, it just performs the way it normally does a default submission. Okay, so next let's make sure that this can submit. So I'm going to create a function here called handle submit. What does this handle submit do? It's going to take a default E property. This E is what event, and it's going to prevent the regular behavior which a form is submitted in JavaScript. All right. So after that, I'm going to set this transferring to be true, so that this button can now be showing transferring. Fantastic. So the next thing we want to do, we want to actually copy the URL. Remember, here's the URL. Let me switch to let's switch to this empty here. Okay, this is our application that is running online. You can see this URL here. So I'm going to copy this URL. Basically, this is the one here. I'm going to copy it here. Then I'll come to that one which we're working on here. So let's say something like const URL is equal to, let's say this is the URL where I want to send the URL that is responsible for receiving this payment. And now the next thing I want to call Axios. I want to install, I've already installed it because it can, or have I? Do I have Axios in all these packages? I don't think so. So if we don't have Axios, what we need to do is to just open this place and say run a simple command, call it, npm, npm I Axios, right? So that is basically the only package that we need to install on the front end, because we have that on the back end, but we haven't installed it on the front end as well. So, Axios is now installed. Okay, so let's come to this place. We're going to import Axios. So I want to say import Axios from what? Axios, right? And then I want to say axios.post, and where are we posting to this URL? And you can see this is done now. Great. So we're posting to this URL, and what are we sending along? We want to send the receiver and what? The amount. Okay, since this is a variable structure where the name of the variable is the same thing as the key, okay, I don't have to basically do that like receiver, is your receiver. Okay, I don't have to do this. I could, because the names of the key and the value are the same, I could just use one to indicate them both. Okay, so after this, I want to do something like dot, then what happened is return a response. Okay, what is this response about? I want it to show me an alert saying that this was successful, or transaction successful. Okay, transaction successful. But not only that, I want to also log out that specific response as well. Okay, and also I want to say set receiver, because I want to set it to default, and also set amount to be what? Empty. And lastly, I want to say set transferring to be what? False. Okay, so that this will end the operation that I've started here already. Okay, so with that, and then want to say dot catch in case there is any error. Okay, if there is any error, this is what we want it to do. We want it to say something similar, such as this. Okay, so we're going to say transaction failed. Okay, and what we're logging at is this error. We also want to say set transferring to be what? False. So this is just what these two things entails right now. So so let's save that. Now make sure we hook up this function to this form button here. So say on submit, sorry, we should what? Handle that submission. So with that, you can save, come to the browser. We can do justice by just refreshing this screen. Copy a wallet address you want to send some money to. Okay, and okay, it has 0.02. So I'm going to send, this is a wallet. Let me send 0.0223 to that wallet address. I'm also going to open my console so that I can monitor the proceedings. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to click what? Send. And that is saying transferring. Let's watch and see. Fingers crossed. And once this is successful, it's going to show us that it's what? Succeeded. Woo! Transaction successful. Say okay, and you can see the information about this transaction, including where we can, where we can access it online. So if I come here and paste it here, remove these quotes at the beginning and end. Okay, click enter. You can see that just 26 seconds ago, this transaction was successful and 8 blocks have already been confirmed. Now 13 blocks have been confirmed. This is great right here. So we are performing gasless transaction basically. So now with this understanding, you can use this now to perform minting. Okay, so people can actually mint on your platform. And let's say you charge them in USD or any of your local currency, and then they can utilize your own crypto or blockchain to perform the transaction. So that is where this comes in. Or if you want to do a free minting where people can actually mint on your platform using your own money on mainnet, then you can actually use something like that. So this will not be very gassy, to your users, but it will be gasful to you. I hope you get that joke. Okay, so this is what gasless transaction is all about. So when we check out the price, see, this is the amount of money that we received, after that transaction. So it's something that you should just take note of. See, that's the amount of money that we received, 0.023, just as we indicated when we were performing the transfer. So with that said, I'm Darlington Gospel, and I'm going to see you in the next tutorial.